Hey everyone, we're back. So 4 cruises on Oceania and Cunard, 4 flights, 1 bus tour, about 10 nights at hotels, a EuroRail trip, local trains, taxis, Ubers. We even rented a car in Germany and drove on the Autobahn. So in Spain, we visited Motril, Alicante, Barcelona, Valencia, Ibiza, and Bocairent. In Malta, my favorite country, we visited Valletta. In Greece, we visited Argostoli. I'm going to read these. In Tunisia, we visited Tunis and Carthage. Interestingly, I've got some pics I'm going to take and create a new video on the World War II cemetery there. It's similar to the one in Luxembourg. Very well done and very respectful. I didn't even know it was there. In Italy, we did a bus tour. So we've done cruises. We tried our first ever bus tour. We visited all over Italy. So we went Messina, Naples, Rome, Verona, of course, Pisa, Venice, and Florence. Florence was our favorite city. By the way, the bus tour we took was from a company named Cosmos. I'm going to do a video on them. Those were the best tours we had over the course of 2.5 months. So I didn't know what to expect on a bus tour. I'm very comfortable going on my own and doing cruises. I was really impressed with this bus tour, and I want to do a special thing on how to do it and what are the challenges. We also visited Germany. We went on a tour of the Nuremberg trials location during World War II, or rather after World War II. The Nuremberg trials were there, and it's a museum now with a bunch of great footage and easy to find, inexpensive, and really interesting the things you find out there. And then we also visited Regensburg, which is a very famous place. You may remember I was there in the winter for their Christmas markets when we went back, just to see how different it would be without all those vendors, booths. And it was surprisingly huge. You don't really realize how big it is with all those vendors, but it was nice. And then we went to a small town called Laubach. I'm going to do a video on that. I'll tell you why in a little bit later. But Laubach is a really cool town out in the hinterlands. It's got its own castle, small village. And we rented a car and drove up there and tell you all about it. In the UK, we visited the Harry Potter Museum, or studio rather, and really interesting, we went to Southampton, which, if you don't know, when you take a cruise, Southampton is, they embark and disembark in Southampton. We took the repositioning cruise or the transatlantic cruise from Southampton back to New York to get home. It's 7 days. I'm going to do a video on it. It was very interesting. We really enjoyed it. Anyway, we got there a couple days early intentionally because Southampton is where during all the world wars, there's good history there. That's where they shipped soldiers from. But also for us, that's the place where the Titanic first launched its maiden voyage to the US. So there's a Titanic museum there, and it was just excellent. So spend 2 days. I'm going to do a whole video on the Titanic Museum and also the Dark Arts Bar, which is very cool. Kind of get that Harry Potter thing. We also, pre-Europe, took a cruise to the Caribbean. So our cruise over to Europe, we took an Oceanic cruise on the Serena. It's a small ship. But the Serena was doing, we've discovered just before our transatlantic cruise that went to Bermuda, Portugal, and Spain, they did a cruise through the Caribbean. It was early April here in South Texas. It was kind of cold and miserable. So we tagged on that cruise from the very beginning. So I'll show you some neat things from there as well. Now that one included, it's St. Bart's, Tortola, Antigua, St. Kitts, St. Thomas, and then Bermuda. I'm going to do a video on this as well because I think it's important for me to show you a video on transatlantic cruise. So we did a total of 3. The first one we did, if you remember, in December, Cunard from New York to Southampton on the Cunard Queen Mary 2. That's the only transatlantic ship in the world. And then on our second time, we did the Oceania Serena, which is not a transatlantic cruise ship. It's just a cruise ship. There are differences. I think most importantly, since we took the Cunard twice, Oceania once, We also tried different kinds of rooms. I'm going to do a whole video on this. Right before we left, one of my wife's friends, a guy in the Navy, called her and said, listen, transatlantic, middle of the winter, I was in the Navy, you know, make sure you get in the middle of the ship and get as low as you can. And so on the first trip over, we went on the Queen Mary 2, we got right in the center of the ship, and about on deck 5, we had what they call an ocean view room. It's fine, no big deal. We didn't feel anything. On the Serena cruise line, it's a much smaller ship, only 600 passengers, I think is the number. So we said, same thing, this worked for us the first time. Let's go as low as we can go. So they actually have deck 3, got right in the middle. That trip, a smaller ship, so seats more, right? We ended up going over there, and there were some days we had 20-foot swells, and we'd go upstairs and people were complaining about, you know, all night long being woken up. We slept like babies down on the 3rd floor. So this is really working for us. In that particular case, we tried what they call a portal room. So we had a portal view. Didn't have a big window like you'd see in an ocean view room. We just had a portal. Little different experience. We liked it as well. I'm going to go through the specifics on a later video. The 3rd trip back home, we also got some advice saying, hey, now you're going, it's June, you're going from Southampton back to the States. And as you'll discover on these transatlantic cruises, they every couple of days they switch the clocks by 1 hour. It's a huge advantage because by the time you get to the States or to Southampton, you're on their time zone. So on day 1 you change, day 2 then you miss a day, etc. Bottom line is, on the way back we got some advice saying, hey, get a low room again, which made sense for us, but try an internal room, no windows, because as you're going west, you're trying to go to bed earlier and earlier, and it's be light outside. So we took the internal room, and that worked for us as well on level 4. So we've done 3, 4, 5, and ocean view, portal, and inside room. I'm going to do a whole video on this because it's important. Bottom line is, that's how we did it. Plus, as you probably know, you save a lot of money on those low rooms. Now, when we got to the Mediterranean, you'll see in another video, and we're really up there and we want to see things. Of course, we took 8th or 9th floor room with a balcony so we can kind of see what's going on. The truth is, and not just me, but everyone I talk to is, in a balcony room, as you're going along, you're going at 20 knots an hour, you really aren't outside, especially in April, May. It was kind of cool, plus 20 knots an hour, add that as your wind chill. Nobody really went outside on their balconies during the day, during sailing. But what I did like about it is, we looked at our cruise. It was doing a counterclockwise through Mediterranean, so Strait of Gibraltar, Spain, Tunisia, Malta, you know, all the way around Greece, etc. We got on the starboard side so that every place we stopped, so you're doing this, every port we stopped, we were on that side that faced the port. I've got some incredible shots of these ports. So I would say transatlantic cruises for us, I think our decision is go low, go center. And you'll see later, there wasn't a big change between what we liked. I think my wife liked the ocean view room a little bit better. Certainly on the way back, I like that no light. We controlled all light because we really landed in perfect time zone after 7 days. But when you're doing some of the really cool areas, the Mediterranean, Barcelona, you want to see what's going by, especially when you're stopping every morning at a different port. It's really exciting to kind of get up, pull the shade, and see what's going on. So anyway, again, so hey, wow, we're home. So everyone, again, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, buckle up and subscribe. Over the next 2 months, I'll be uploading a ton of excursions. I'm also going to create some content on lessons learned from while traveling. So top 5 lists, how to navigate cruise lines, ports of call, transportations, hotels, must-have apps, how to navigate visas. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there we've learned. And we made the mistakes. No use for you to make the mistakes. I'll try to walk you through it. So as an example, if you remember my first video, I did 2 important videos on downloading Google Translate for languages and also downloading Google Maps. So these are critical. And so, as you know, if you watch my other video, you can download these languages. We downloaded every language that we're going to be in, from Greece, Spanish, Italian, etc., German. So here's why that's important. So for Google Translate, the nice thing is if you're in small towns and you walk up to a restaurant, you can take your Google Translate, open up the camera, and it will decipher the menu for you. That's probably the biggest way we used it. However, I would say in almost every town, we found that we could find someone under 40 years old that spoke English. So most restaurants are younger people. They actually want to use their English. So I would say in German, sprechen Sie English, bitte. They all say, oh, yes, I want to try my English. That really happened in Malta. In Laubach. The woman said, hey, can I practice? I don't see many Americans down here. So we had some fun with it. Bottom line is you want that to be there. The other reason is because we did go to this small town called Laubach, which is castles way out in the hinterland. We had to take a car there. And we walked up to the tourist center, the information center, and we walked in and said, hey, we're just here for 3 days. We're really out here in no man's land. The good news is we had Google Translate and Google Maps offline so we could know where we're going. But do you have any maps or any content in English? And surprising to us, even the lady that worked at the tourist center didn't speak English. So she said most people don't come this far out in the hinterland, and she didn't speak any English. But because thankfully I had Google Translate and German as a language downloaded, I could put it on conversation mode. I'll do a video on that as well. On conversation mode, we go back and forth on what to see. So very, very helpful. For Google Maps, I also made a video on this. I'll try to tag them on this video. This is also important. So 2 things are important. Number 1 is I had gone ahead of time and booked some hotels. We got to Barcelona, had 2 or 3 days before a Mediterranean cruise started, etc. And so I booked some hotels, gone into Google Maps, had starred those hotels where we're going, and kind of did a what's in the circle. And if you look at my Google Maps, you can download that specific map. So I downloaded all of Barcelona, all of Verona, the cities we are going to with those stars. Here's why it's important. We land in Barcelona. The hotel we were staying at is called the Grum Spa, which I'm going to do a video on. It's 3 miles from port. Very nice. Close to downtown. Two block walk. And they're very nice people that all speak English, which really helped. And they had maps in English, the whole bit. More importantly, though, when we got into Barcelona, we went to the cab station, the taxi station. I told him where I wanted to go in Spanish. He couldn't find this Grum Hotel on his mapping app. So the good news is I said, hey, I pulled up my map, said, here's where it's at. It's all I had it downloaded, and they had that whole map downloaded offline. So I said, hey, here it is, boom. Attach this to your CarPlay. You can follow my map to the hotel. And he had never been to this hotel. So I don't know why, but the good news is it really works. So that's another reason why you really want to download, or I guess, not to sound arrogant, but take my advice on Google. Translate and Maps, you definitely want those apps. Those are the 2 things we used daily. Even at Barcelona, walking when the woman said, hey, you're here, yes, go here. There's a really great restaurant here with authentic food. We could ping it, tap it, and then do Google Walk and walk there. So it was about a 400 or 500 meter walk. We would not have attempted that in a city without Google Maps. We walked right to the door. Same thing happened in Laubach. Actually, every town. That just really works. So super easy to download those things. Lastly, I'm going to do a whole video on this new UK e-visa. So for those of you who don't know, we just found out. So we went to Europe. And we've been to London, 4 months ago. There were no e-visas required. We get to Nuremberg. That was our last kind of stop before Southampton. We pulled in, walked up to Lufthansa. I'd gone online ahead of time and gone ahead and booked my flight, paid for my bag, etc. Walked in thinking I just need to get my security tag. And the woman said, stop, I can't check your bags in because you haven't proven you've got a UK e-visa. And I said, well, what's that? I don't even know what that is. And she said, well, it's brand new, just started last month, but she was not allowed to. She said, I'm not allowed to book you in, check your bags until you can prove to me you've got an e-visa. Now, the woman was very nice. Thankfully, I had an eSIM card from EuroRail, which is a good one. You've seen my videos on this. And I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. We got there early, good news, 3 hours at a time, like you should always do. And I said, hey, I don't have this, I don't know what you're talking about. She said, hey, she wrote it out, here's the URL, get the free app, which I did. Step to the side, takes 5 minutes, and it really did. You get on this app, you put your name in, pay $22, and then you submit your form, and it came back about 5 minutes later saying approved. So unless you're a really bad person, they get approved pretty quickly. Now, the other thing that's important about this, and I'm going to do a video on it, is on the front of your American passport, probably all countries, but I'm an American. On the front of the American passport, there's a little, it looks like a little RFID chip like you see on on your credit cards. That's called a machine chip. So when you download this app, which I'll do a video on, it says either fill this information out, which I did, because I wasn't smart enough to read ahead of time saying, but if you got that chip, just zap it, it gives you all the information. So I spent 10 minutes doing something that should have taken about 30 seconds to do. Bottom line is, I want to do a video on that because if you're headed to Europe, it's important. It's important now for UK, but in October of this year, they're going to, all of Europe or the EU is going to have one as well. So it's going to be important to know how to do this and do it. It was $22, took 10 minutes. It's good for 3 years. Bottom line is, if you're going to UK and after October, the EU, you're going to need one of these visas. Super easy. It's just an annoyance. It's a nuisance tax, frankly. And by the way, I didn't know this when we came back to the US. We do it too. So we're all doing the same thing. Last thing I want to say, I had a lot of people say, hey, Carl, you went in December, January, you came home. Now you went in April, May, June. Now you've come home. What's up? And there's a reason why we did this. And I'm going to do a video on this. There's a thing called the Schengen law. I hope I said that correctly. But basically, all of the EU said anybody can come in for a continuous 90 days in any 180-day period. And then, so what matters is we can stay 90 days, then you have to leave the EU and let that first month kind of percolate off. So we were there for about 80 some days. We came home. Now, at the end of this month, June, that time in April start to percolate off and get more time. You have like a rolling 90 days in any 180-day period. There's an app that shows how to do this. It was shown to me. It's very easy. Bottom line is you don't want to get stuck there more than 90 days. You violate their rules. And I've been told that if you do that, the penalty is you're kicked out for a year. And I didn't want kicked out for a year because I'm coming back. So it's important. You can apply for a longer visa. I tried that and I was turned down. The reason because they said you have to have a business, which I don't have a business, in Europe to spend more than 90 days there. And so I spent that 90 days and get out of there. There's one more nuance of this. So I thought it was only EU countries that had this Schengen law. That's not true. So you pull into Switzerland and you're going, hey, listen, you're not part of the EU. I want to stamp my passport so I can start getting some free days in Europe that aren't part of this 90 days. Well, guess what? They subscribe to this same tool. So Norway does, Switzerland does as well. Not sure about the EU. I'll have to check on that and get back to you later. Bottom line is you have to see, and I'll go back and check it now, which countries are included in that law. All the EU are all 33 countries, but other countries are as well. So very important when you're planning your time, 90 days and get out. It kind of bummed me out. Frankly, the hardest part in Europe is getting there, right? It's not that expensive. 2 people on a transatlantic cruise on a lower seat costs us about $2,000. Flight over is at cheap seats are $2,000. So about the same price. Plus we can enjoy ourselves, have fun, see the shows, have the high tea on the Cunard, all the cool stuff. So it's no more expensive to get there by ship or by plane. I like it because you have fun with it, and frankly, you get there, you're on the time zone. My point, though, is it takes time to get there and get back. When I'm there, I want to spend as much time as I can there, but this law is in place. So we've kind of come up with some ideas how we may try to get around that. Frankly, what we need to do is figure out which countries around Europe don't subscribe to this Schengen requirement And so we're looking at, we're going back in this fall after these 90 days percolate off to continue our adventure in 2025 to Europe, our way to Europe. But there are some other countries in the area that we may want to try to ping into. So for example, Iceland, Greenland, down south, other countries that we feel safe in, that we'd be willing to jump out for 2 or 3 weeks and want to see something. Right now, just based on all the things that are going on in the world, we all know what they are. I would not attempt to go into a country that I would consider less than safe. Coincidentally, I've got my son's in the Army, he's over there, and I said a couple places I wanted to go, and he basically said, "You're not taking my mother there." And so we said, okay, if you think you live here, if you think they're not safe, then they're not safe for people, our age either. So anyway, that's it. Again, please subscribe and like and leave me a comment. As of today, I've got 773 subscribers and just reached 90,000 views. Subscribing and liking my videos really help me. Frankly, help me prove to my kids, my grandkids, that their papa is the cool papa. So please help me and like and subscribe. Okay, so this is Saturday. Expect a video every week, every Saturday for the next probably 3 months about different countries and different ideas about going to Europe. Thanks for joining, and please subscribe. See you next time.